What's going on, guys? SLF Tuning here, and today we are finally going to be doing some modifications on my 86. Today we are doing a cold air intake by the brand Piran. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and take out these 10 mils along with these clips along the top here. There's going to be clips on the side, on the inside of the fender right here, on both sides. Make sure you disconnect the reflector. And clips on the bottom. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we got the bumper off. There is a lot of clips underneath the car. That was the most amount of clips I've ever seen on the bottom of a car for the bumper. That was insane. There's like 3 over here you gotta take off, plus the side, the fenders. Then there's like, this is normal, but there's like 6 over here. And then there's another 4. I was like, bro. But we finally got it off. So next step is going to be taking out the intake tubing. So let's go. Well, that was nice, quick and easy, just 2, and then give it a little tug. Now we are going to work on the intake box. 1 10 mil right there. There's another 10 mil down there. And I think there's one more. I'll keep you guys updated. So this is all obviously one piece. Got the 2 unbolted. Obviously this one right here. And I think that's it. Then we got to take out the MAF sensor. And then we got to take out the clamp, and we're pretty much ready to install the aftermarket intake. But we do have to take out a couple more bolts so that this can be lifted up a little bit. So we got the intake out. Piran is a really good brand because it's one of the only intakes for the GR86 that the intake starts here and it actually ends up in front. That's the whole purpose of a cold air intake, is for it to end up towards the bumper so that it's bringing in as much cold air as possible. So we got to take off this whole cover, and then we got to take out this support bolt and this support bolt. This will pop up a little bit, and then we could feed it through. And then we can use the hardware that they put in the box to compensate for the new added gap. All right, so after a little bit of fiddling, I took out these little clips, which I figured out you don't really need to. You kind of do because the pipe is in the way. So take out these little clips. They're just like right there, and right there. So just take them out and then take out these 2 bolts right here, and you should be able to lift it. It's a little fidgety and it's a little hard, but just power through it and you'll be okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and get everything bolted in. All right, so we got that installed. So after you put the pipe into the normal like stock intake, just go ahead and tighten the clamp right here, and then we'll work on getting the sensor in there. The bolt mounts up right here, and then the actual filter goes on over here. So we'll get the filter on there. Filter is obviously in the box, but we'll get the filter on there, then we'll get the sensor on there. And congratulations, you have finally done a cold air intake. Okay, so we got the intake installed. That's good. Make sure you always give your stuff a little tug whenever you put on clamps. I gave it this a little tug. I'm not going to do it again because there's a bunch of intake grease on it, which is normal. That's just to package it. And you should actually spray some intake cleaner on your intakes every once in a while. Obviously with this one it's a little hard because you got to take off the whole bumper. Because they're up in the front and they'll be kind of covered, you don't really have to do it often, but you can. But yeah, we will go ahead and start. We're going to start it up and see how it sounds. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I have my microphone. I'm gonna put it right here so that you guys can hear some intake noises. Damn, that sounds clean. That sounds so clean. All right, let's go ahead and put everything back together. So obviously now that we have that intake on there, that cover right there won't work. You're gonna have a bunch of extra bolts like those ones right here. Those ones are literally just the ones that held the normal intake in there. All that holds this intake is the clamp, the bolt, this, and done.